Welcome everyone, my favorite people, Sterling White here, and today we will jump right into nailing the first 20 seconds in your cold call. So at the end of this, you will have the necessary steps and just the framework of really how to optimize those first initial 20 seconds of your call. So those of you who are on the those of you who are on the YouTube, you know the next steps. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you could be informed moving forward each and every week when I drop these absolute bombs and go to nuggets. And those of you who are on, let's say, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, that's listening while you're in the shower, shaving your head, which is what I do while I'm in the shower, brushing my teeth and then washing up, is after you get out of the shower, leave that rating, because always looking for feedback, and it would really mean the world to me. So there's that. And if you're just now coming across me wondering, this handsome bald guy that's in front of you, why listen to myself? This, especially on this particular subject, is that born and raised here in Indianapolis, Indiana, not so good parts of the city, and just want to give you all some context because I know there are new listeners on here. Is born and raised here in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let me go ahead and button this last button up that's here. There we go. Is born and raised here in Indianapolis, Indiana, single mother, fraternal twin brother, and was in Section 8 housing, food stamps, and I'm sure of other government assistance she didn't tell us about, but ended up making it out of that environment, luckily. And I just remember times where it was not the greatest, it was tons of illegal activity that was going around, and saw things that kids should not see. One instance, I remember playing basketball one day with a friend, and the next day they were gone because they attempted to rob the pizza man next door, and the pizza man just happened to be packing and ended up taking their life. And fast forward, got started in real estate 2009. Shortly after that, shifted to becoming more of an investor. Bought my very first deal, no money out of pocket, and that's how I was able to get my foot in the door. Scaled to 150 single families, and then made the entire shift to multifamily in 2017, with the first deal being a 46 unit, and then have since scaled to larger deals since that point in time. So that's context on myself. One thing is, not perfect by any means, and I really share my trials and tribulations, the good, the bad, and the ugly, in hopes that one, you can just get insights from my journey, and to avoid the mistakes and the failures that I've had, because one, I'm a firm believer, yes, it's good to learn from your own mistakes, but it's even better to learn from others. And secondly, is to replicate the successes that I've had, which we'll go right into. So that's a little bit of background on me. And so the first thing I want to jump into in terms of really nailing those first 20 seconds on the call, and what we do is go direct to owner, and what we start with in terms of the outreach is via a cold call. So the first thing that you want to do, because those first, I would say 6 to 8 seconds really dictate the remaining of the phone call, whether or not it goes rocky or that the person hangs up on you. So first, you want to actually role play. And what I mean by role play is actually practicing as if you're actually having the call versus with yourself or someone else, versus practicing on the actual call with the owner on the other end, or even seller. And I like to use it as the analogy as a sports team. So a sports team, they do not, let's say Pittsburgh Steelers, that's my favorite team. Comment below with who your favorite team is. That the Steelers, for instance, or any sports football team, is they will practice before actually getting on the field. Just imagine if they practice on the field against the opponent, they would just get demolished. So it's the same thing with calls. Is you're doing the role playing beforehand, and the person on the other end is acting as if they're the let's say it's your friend or your mother or your dad or that you have on the other end, acting as the owner or seller, and you're the one placing the call. And you just go ring, 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 and you just practice ring, ring, ring. Hey, this is XYZ with Sonder Investment Group or whatever your company name is. Did I catch you at a bad time? And then from there that's when the person says, well, you did catch me at a bad time. And then you go into the rebuttal. Hey, completely understand. I'm sure you get these types of calls all the time. Let me tell you what, give me 30 seconds. If you don't like what you hear, I'll be out of here. Sound fair? And they say, yeah, go ahead. Then you go into the reason for the call. So these are all the things you want to practice beforehand, because when you actually get out there you'll really start to, it's good to be prepared for beforehand. So that's the first thing, is role playing. Tremendous, absolute game changer for myself and my business. And what we do with our team on a daily basis is role play. The second is know who you're speaking with. So I've had people in terms of call to purchase my properties and don't even know who they are speaking with. So just being prepared beforehand of the person's name and only using first name. That's the tactical thing that you want to have, is when you're calling, not saying, hey, could I speak with John Smith? No. One is, and this is another tactical thing, is the person that is picking up the phone, assume that it's them. So you would ring and say, hey, John, and this is what you'll do in a role playing. If you get something wrong or have the other person, or let's say you're role playing with someone on your team and they make an incorrect issue, is, hey, flunk, we'll try it over again. So in this, you would say, ring, ring, ring. Hey, John, Sterling here with Sonder Investment Group. Did I catch you at a bad time? And so you see, I didn't say John Smith. I just assumed it was actually that person I was speaking with. So that's why it's one of the things that you really want to have is good data. Data is vitally important, and more so on the being able to pull lists. So you could pull lists. There's lists out there, meaning that there's list sources, a database that you can pull your leads from. There's PropStream, there's Reonomy, there's CoStar. Reonomy and CoStar are more so on the commercial side for multifamily, and then on the residential side are like ListSource, and you can also use it for other industries, but on the residential side it's good, ListSource and also PropStream. But from that, most of these databases have the owner's contact information within it. So you already have their first and last name and you've got their contact. So just assuming that the person you're speaking with is the actual person and not using a first and last name. Please do not do that. And then next is to be straight to the point, meaning that you go into your greeting, as I mentioned earlier. When ourselves, we don't ask the person how they're doing. That just screams a sales call a lot of the times. So we just jump right into the reason for the call, because you have to understand that these people have busy lives and you are interrupting them to now give them a pitch. So they're stopping what they are doing, which they could be doing multiple things, and then you're give them a call. So they're stopping what they're doing, and if you're not straight to the point and direct with what it is that your reason is, then they're like, okay, what is this call regarding? So the next step after the greeting is, okay, this is my reason for the call. I wanted to personally reach out to you, John. I just bought Bentwood Apartments across the street from yours and wanted to see if you consider an offer on the property there, or if you consider selling. So very professional, straight to the point. And yeah, always give be straight, a reason for the call. There's no NLP, no was it neuro-linguistic programming. It's very direct. And for us on our calls is we're always identifying if there is a motivation and a desire to sell. That's a whole nother, that's after your reason for the call. You're going into the fact finding to see if there is a problem. Meaning that if the person just inherited their property and they no longer want it. Or a second, that they just recently relocated and they're trying to manage the property from afar and they're just not able to do it and they're just done with it. However, if we're speaking with the owner and they say, yes, I'd sell for the right price, or I'd sell for above market, or give me an offer I can't refuse, those are the ones that's just not a fit for. So just going through the points, you guys, to really hit the nail on the head in the first 20 seconds of the call is one, being prepared before the actual call by doing role playing. So that's the first. The second is know who you are speaking with. The third is be direct and know your reason for the call, and that's why it's good to follow a script. It's a guideline. That way you know where you're going, you know each item to constantly hit. And I would say below is we'll go ahead and provide a link to a script that we use. And if it's not down there, then reach out to us. But yeah, we'll go ahead and put a link below to a script so you'll be able to download that. Then the last but not least is prepare yourself for objections. So that's the fourth point I wanted to mention, because there will be objections. And a lot of times people just throw out objections just to get you off the phone. Just think of it as a prime example when you go into a shoe store, or let's say you go to buy a phone and you're looking around and the salesperson comes up to you and says, hey, is there any way I can point you in the right direction or help you? Say, no, just looking. It's the same, and you don't even realize you say it. It's just automatically a reaction that you have. It's the same thing on these calls. Just going back to that point is they now leave, and then you realize you actually had a question, like, oh God, and you can't find them. So just going back into this fourth point is that the objections are going to be there, and it's about you through the role playing and practicing to be able to overcome those. One is that some owners say, nah, I'm not interested in selling. Hey, John, completely understand. I knew you were going to say that before I even called. However, if we were to provide the right price, then would you consider selling? And they say no. Then we just move on to the next one. So a lot of times they just say not interested just as a way to get you off the phone, and always just practicing those rebuttals as a way, because I had someone call me, for instance, and I knew that it was a sales call and they were looking to fish and see if I'd consider selling one of my properties. And I was just throwing objections out there just to throw one. And one of them said, no, not interested. And I just said it just like that, and they hung up. So that person was not trained. And I would say if that happened with someone on our team, then we'd have a conversation itself. But that's one of those things that we just constantly role play and practice, that if in this scenario, this person says this, then this is what you will reply, and this will be your response. And then the fifth, the bonus that actually just came to mind is, through the course of making these calls, you guys, is do not take anything personal. Because there's people that when they're having a not so good day and you call, they'll lean into you and just drop all of that on you. So to just not take anything personal. One book that I would recommend reading is The 4 Agreements. And one of the 4 agreements is to not take anything personal, because people are people at the end of the day, and that's just, those types of things are just going to happen. You just think if you're driving and you accidentally cut someone off and they speed up, turn around, and flick you off, that goes to show you a lot more about that individual than it does about you. And they may just have had someone just pass in their family, or that something at school, they got an F on the paper, and now they're just taking out on you. So who knows exactly what's going on in their world, and that's why it's key to not take anything personal. So those are all the key things that I want to mention to really allow you to nail those first 20 seconds in your call. Also, if you just below is a link to the script that we do have, so you'll be able to download that. And then second is those of you on the YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. It really takes less than half of a second to do that. And the like too. And also on an ongoing basis, I do have some time I've allocated throughout this week, just a few days, to do strategy sessions, which you would personally speak with myself or someone from the team. Majority of the time it is myself, where we hop on the call. It'll be anywhere between about 30 to 45 minutes, where we'll do a deep dive into your current business, where you're currently at, where you're looking to go, and come up with an action plan on how to bridge the gap to where you're looking to go. So So appreciate y'all so much. Keep being awesome.